All right, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Franchise Empire newsletter live stream. We do this every Monday, and today we are going to talk about a resale with 1 million in sales, offering seller financing. We're going to talk about the UPS store. Is it a good investment? We're going to go over their sales, their costs, their fees. Very interesting stuff. I love looking at the numbers. We're going to talk about one of our recent clients, Jamy, who decided to make the leap into franchising. And we'll talk about a couple other things. If you're new here, my name is Tarek Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire. And I'm here with Mark Magerman, who is our head of brokerage. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Tarek. I think this is the first time we've both been on the call together in a couple of weeks.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you covered last week and you did it, and then the week before, I think you were out.
The week before, yeah. Nice to be back.
Reunited. All right. Well, before we dive into the goods, y'all, we got to take a look at something important. All right. Now that we got the good compliance stuff out of the way, let's start diving in. This resale. So again, we've talked about this. If you watched the newsletter before, franchisors and franchisees are moving in the direction of wanting and asking and really requiring us to keep the names of the brands confidential until there's an actual interested party in it. You can understand for obvious reasons why. This specific brand, this is pretty interesting. They are based in Tennessee and North Georgia. They are contiguous territories, which means they're right next to each other, even though it's in Tennessee and North Georgia. They border on each other. Started in 2024, and guys, they're already at $1 million in sales. Again, we have the asterisks there because the sales information is not verified by us. That information is provided by the franchise owner. But they got 75 5-star Google reviews, asking price of only $200K. It includes a fully branded truck, equipment, and inventory of $15K. They list their seller discretionary earnings of $80,000 for an owner operator. So clearly, this is an owner operator opportunity. Looks like, just based off of looking at the numbers, that there needs to be some improvement on the overall margins of the business based on the price they're selling it at, and the SDE at $1 million, $80K, 8%. Not the most exciting number in the world, but hey, could be a good opportunity for a new owner. And this is unusual. They're offering 50% seller financing. Now, you'd have to discuss with the sellers what that looks like in terms of the structure, but it's rare that you can get that much seller financing from a seller in a franchise sale. Mark, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, I got a lot of thoughts on this. I guess I'd start with if you're interested in a resale, I hope you're into it for the right reasons. And the wrong reason is I make $100,000 a year in my corporate job. There's $80,000 for an owner operator here. So if I buy this business, all of a sudden I have an $80,000 salary. It almost matches my income. That's not the way to look at these businesses, my gosh. And I'm mentioning this because I had a candidate last week who got a little upset with me because I had this conversation with them. But this is not, you don't buy an existing business to make sure you get the income day one. Please understand that as an owner, your income is whatever's left over at the end of the day. And again, this is an owner-operator model, folks, right? Which means the 80 grand of discretionary income is for that owner-operator. If you decide you want to buy this business and hire that operator to do it for you, that 80 grand is going to go to the salary to pay that person. And as an owner, you're going to not be able to take any income out of the gate, which isn't a bad thing. Just kind of understand that going in. And again, that's the reality of these resales. Please, it's not about trading a corporate W-2 job for a resale business that's got discretionary cash flow. That's going to get you in a lot of trouble, and please don't do it that way. That being said, 2 territories started in 2024, asking price of only 200 with sales of over $1 million and seller financing sounds like a really good opportunity for the right person. So I would say pursue it, but please, not because you want to take the 80 grand day one into your pocket.
Yeah, it's a great point. And a lot of people don't realize that there's so many misconceptions about resales. And, one of the things that are unique about us at Franchise Empire is no other broker, team, group is out there providing the level of information, detail, insight around resales as we do. Everything has pros and cons to it. Number one, but resales, specifically something like this that says, "Hey, we got SD of 80K." You guys got to realize when you have a business, like the business needs cash to float expenses, because you don't always just get a. You might generate a sale, and depending upon who's paying you, might take a week, might take 2 weeks. You just don't know how that all plays out, and they're just different rolling expenses. So, generally speaking, even if a business is profiting, let's call it 100 grand for easy numbers, like you are probably at minimum going to leave 25 to 30% of the profits in the business purely for cash flow. That doesn't account for taxes, et cetera, all that jazz. So it's a great point by Mark. Reason why we say this and emphasize this, we really we're focused on, number one, setting the right expectations. Part of why we've gained a solid reputation, because we tell it like it is, good, bad, or ugly. And that it attracts the right person, right? Because the people who tend to not do as well with buying a resale or a business, or people that want to buy a business, think that they can then just step away. But the reality is you're going to need to be involved. And specifically, they're talking about, hey, there needs to be an owner operator for this business. So anyways, if you're in that area, could be a great opportunity for you, at least if you want to look at the financials, get connected to the seller, and go to franchiseempire.com/resales. We also have a list of about 100 other resales in the US and Canada, over a variety of different brands, different localities. So feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, and I'll say one other thing, and this is kind of directed to the candidate I spoke to last week. I'm not even assuming he's on the call, but when we talk about resales, it's not a bait and switch. In other words, we don't really care if our candidates are interested in resales or not. We explain the pros and the cons of both of those opportunities, and we work with our candidates on what's right for them. So again, resales are tricky. Tarek just said we have over 100 resales, but they have to be in your area to make it worthy for you, right? So it's kind of needle in a haystack kind of thing. And again, please, if you're interested in this, we'd love to match you up with the seller, but please have some funding information. Be pre-approved to buy an existing business if that's what you want. If you don't have that pre-approval, you're really just kicking tires, and you really aren't going to have any credibility with any potential seller.
Facts. All right. Let's keep it rocking and rolling. So let's celebrate Jamy. So part of in this newsletter, what we like to do is we like to celebrate the people that really matter the most, which is our clients. And it's why we do what we do. And, our goal is really to help individuals own a money-making franchise. And so this was Chris's client, right? Mark? Yeah. Yeah, I remember she was the one that sent me the email about Chris, right? I think is that the one?
I remember. I assume it was a very nice email, but yes,
it was the one I read out loud in the all team meeting. Yes,
right.
Yeah.
I think Chris paid her though for that. Just kidding.
Yeah. Sounds like something Chris would do.
No, it's very nice. She's very professional. If every one of our candidates was as prepared and thorough as Jamy, our lives would be a lot easier, Tarek.
Yeah, 100%. So Jamy spent 30 years in federal service, and really preparing for retirement and turning the page on a new chapter. And with her strong experience of our emergency management and leadership. She really wanted to create long-term impact in her community. And so she came to us. She was interested in franchising overall, was looking at a bunch of different brands. I think when she came to us, she had actually previously been working with another franchise consultant or broker. We do ask once clients do come to work with us that like they work with us exclusively. Guys, it's a little weird. I mean, some people are into this kind of thing, but it's like you're talking about getting married to someone and you're like, oh, by the way, I'm talking to this other person about marrying them too. You're like, what? What? That's so weird. And think about it. When you use a realtor to buy a house, like you typically have one buyer's agent, the main person that you work with, who's going around investing a tremendous amount of time and effort getting to know you, where you want to live, what your dream home is, and finding opportunities and showing them to you. Same deal here. Anyways, I went on a rant. Sorry. Anyway, she wound up working with us afterwards, and we helped her. Chris on our team specifically helped her find a franchise that really aligned. And again, she went down the process with a few quality brands that we know of, really respectable. And this is what she landed on after doing due diligence. We give all of our clients access to due diligence tools and online modules so that they can own doing their due diligence and homework. And then Jamy had such an amazing experience with Chris on her team that she actually wound up sending me an email about how incredible her experience was, which was really cool. And I read it to our team a few weeks ago. I think I made Chris turn red. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you did. And the other thing that was really interesting about it was when she came to us, yes, she had engaged another broker, and she kind of let us know that. And if I remember right, she was singularly focused on a couple different categories of business. Two maids was not on her radar screen at all. She had another interest. So it really is more of a testament to Chris. And the reason I'm saying this is it's really the advantage that franchise candidates have by using good brokers, that Chris listened to what she had to say, tried to help her, then kind of realized maybe she was suitable for other types of ideas. Chris, over time, introduced these other concepts to her, and she ended up investing in not only one, but two territories of a business she was never on our radar screen. If it wasn't for Chris's attention to detail and listening to what she had for her needs, I don't know that it ever would have happened. Now, she may have bought a franchise that wasn't a perfect match, or more than likely, she wouldn't have found that one. So again, we hope if you use Franchise Empire and you use our broker team that you have a wonderful experience. We're pretty sure. But if you're going to use somebody else, just make sure the broker is looking out for your best interest as a candidate. And that means asking questions and really getting to know what your needs are. And Chris did an outstanding job here. Granted, Jamy was a great candidate, but I don't think it would have worked out as well if it wasn't for the service she got from Franchise Empire. Yeah, sorry about the shameless plug, but felt it was needed.
No, it was important. It was important. All right, guys, let's pivot to our franchise of the week. Again, we've started to really highlight the biggest brands that you drive by and visit every single day. And I'm sure you're wondering, like many of us do, I wonder how much those things cost to get open. I wonder how much they make. Are they a good investment? Well, guess what? That is exactly the intention behind us putting it as the franchise of the week. So we have this brand that you probably have never heard of. They're not really in a lot of places. I'm being sarcastic. Of course, you guys have all heard of UPS, even if it's just for dropping off your Amazon returns at their stores and nothing else. But it's hard to believe that the company delivering over 24 million packages every day, that's wild, started with just a $100 loan in a Seattle basement back in 1907. 1907? Really? Wow. Okay. Two teenagers, James Casey and Claude Ryan, launched the American Messenger Company. Their job was simple: deliver packages and messages as quickly as possible. At that time, they only used their bicycles and their own 2 feet to get around.
I don't even think cars were invented in 1907, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember when they were invented, but it could have been that they weren't even around.
Yeah, I don't
or
know.
Or planes or anything like that. I mean, think about the industry. It had to be bikes and feet.
Yeah, let's see. When did the Model T? Was that like one of the first cars? When?
Yeah, I think it was in the teens.
1908.
All right, well, this was before that then. So my point is they didn't get into this business because the automobile industry came and said, "Hey, let's do this." They got involved in this before that. Good for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great point. And guys, here's something. Sometimes I connect with people, and I used to be like this too, where you want the results now, today. I want to start a business, and next year I want to be making 250 grand from my business. And although I hope that all of your dreams come true and you experience all of the success that you're looking for in business, it takes time. UPS was started over 100 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. So you don't have to grow to be UPS, but there's nothing more powerful than time compounded into something. And so the company eventually rebranded as United Parcel Service, UPS, and over the decades became one of the most trusted delivery companies in the world. Today, UPS operates in more than 220 countries and moves over 6.3 billion packages a year. They run UPS Airlines, which is a massive cargo fleet with 292 aircraft flying more than 2,000 flights every single day, making it one of the largest airlines in the world by volume. Did you know that, Mark? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I didn't know it was exactly 2,000 flights, but I knew that it was quite the large airline. Yes.
Yeah, interesting. In 1980, UPS launched the UPS Store. Wow, so the UPS Store has only been around it's been around for 45 years. And suddenly people could do more than ship a package. They could print, run a mailbox, notarize. I mean, I think probably pretty revolutionary in its time. Maybe you just shrug your shoulders at it these days. But today there are more than 5,600 UPS stores across North America. Almost all of them are independent franchisees, if you guys did not know that. And they were ranked number 1 in customer service. So, wow, interesting story. What's your takeaway from that whole blurb about their background, Mark?
Well, I mean, they've done a lot of things very right up to this point to be who they are. Being the contrarian that I tend to be, I don't know how much longer they're going to be the behemoth because I don't know if technology interferes with some of those services or not. I don't know. But I would think UPS would be on the cutting edge of utilizing the advents of technology to streamline and make their businesses even more exciting. I think they're excellent businesses. They serve an amazing need in the community. That's why there's 5,600 of them. But again, I also think that it's probably going to cost a little bit more than a typical work from home type, run your business from home model because you do have to build the store. But again, UPS, so many brands that ultimately get successful struggle with name recognition. Boy, there's not a lot of name recognition issues with UPS.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, and I mean that business model, I think overall there are many aspects of it which are dying. I mean, obviously we don't need to send as much mail as we did before, right? With email and all the different technology that we have, to Mark's point. I think they were smart by partnering with Amazon for returns, because at least you get people in your store and the opportunity to get them to buy. But some of those, it's based on just these pretty small transactions. Although every time I ship something there, it seems like it's way overpriced. So maybe the transactions aren't as small as I think.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But I also know that, well, I'm not an expert, but you don't need printing services as much anymore, right? You just don't need to print as much. But they've also been on the cutting edge of converting and offering digital marketing services to their customers too. So if you have a small business, you can't afford $1 million digital ad agency. I think there are services within UPS that help people launch their digital marketing campaigns. So I think that they're beginning to see the trends. I don't think this is a situation where 5,600 stores are going to come to a screeching halt and close tomorrow because they're outdated. I think that it's a strong company that's going to be on that cutting edge. But again, 5 years from now, you might never spend a penny on printing services, but they will be the leader in offering local community-based marketing programs digitally, as an example.
Yeah, fair point. The best brands pivot. Don't turn into Blockbuster, who did not want to pivot. All right, so by the numbers, UPS has 5,690 locations. The total investment, these are for new, by the way. This is not for existing locations for sale, which is primarily, I think, most of what's in circulation, really. It's not easy to get approved, for one, from what I've heard, number one. Number two, franchises have varying levels of flexibility depending upon the brand. This would not be one where you have much flexibility.
Yeah, I would agree. And
right.
What I don't know, Tarek, is if you are starting from scratch and building one from scratch, are you also buying a territory that gives you the right to build more than one of them? I don't know that. Right. In other words, is it all one off? Is everybody doing one, or are you buying a territory and building it out? I don't know that. And the other thing, when I see a total investment with a number at both ends as a finite number on a build out, always take that with a grain of salt, because you have no real idea what it's ultimately going to cost you. And I learned that the hard way, building restaurants, figuring out here's the budget, because here's what the franchisor told me it was going to cost. But I was in Boston, Massachusetts during a depression, economic downturn, and the timing was not there. So ours always cost more. So, use the $495 number as a ballpark, but it might be more, it might be less. You just don't know until you get there.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And they put here the minimum cash contribution, $100,000 to $150,000, meaning that like equity injection, is that how you perceive that, Mark? Like the amount of money they need to put in their business?
Yeah. So if you're going to build a store that's going to be $500,000 and you're going to take a loan, you got to be prepared to put at least 20 to 30% down, which would be between 100 and 150. So yeah, that's about right.
Yep, makes sense. All right, we're not going to talk about ideal franchise candidate, but we will talk about some of their numbers. Let's see how much bigger I can make this. All right, so when we look at their FDD item 19, which is where they show sales, so they show, starting in 2022, average adjusted gross sales for all centers, $709,000. In 22 and 23, 721,000, and in 24, 719,000. Let's see. In 2024, the lowest performing. Let's see. Bottom 10%. So the lowest performing center did $68,000. No, okay. In 2024, they did $85,000. The lowest performing center. And the highest performing one did 2.4 million. So a pretty huge range. I think one of the things to think about here, that's a tongue twister, isn't it?
That's a tough one. Yeah, that's a tough one.
But it's gross margin, right? Gross profit margin, right? Because if you're, as an example, you have some sort of, let's say you have a flooring company, right? And so as in your flooring company, let's say someone buys $5,000, you sell a $5,000 job. And so maybe your cost for the actual flooring is 25% of that. And then your cost of labor to install it is 25% of that. And you're left with a 50% gross profit margin, right? After that. But in this sort of business, what I'm curious about is how much of this revenue is for package revenue, where what portion, like, so if I go to UPS and they charge me $30 to ship something, what percentage of that revenue actually goes to the franchisee as opposed to UPS? And so I'm imagining the gross profit is probably quite low on at least that sort of revenue. Wouldn't you think, Mark?
On shipping, I would, because you got to pay the shipper, right? So yes, I don't think there's as much, but that's where I'm saying, when you kind of reinvent yourself into technology, if you're offering data marketing or digital marketing services, that's probably all built-in margin. So it's a great point, Tarek. Anybody interested in this brand and you're talking to the folks at UPS, boy, I'd like to see the breakdown of margin by category of business, because that can, again, that would help a really smart, savvy operator in marketing. Because what I was going to say was, please, one of the biggest mistakes I hear people make is they want to make sure they have a brick and mortar versus a home-based business, right? They don't want the business out of their home because they got to do so much marketing because no one knows they're there. I'm going to buy a brick and mortar, so I don't have to do any marketing because the brick and mortar is going to be the billboard. That couldn't be farther from the truth. So no matter, even if you build a UPS, as an owner, you've got to get out into the local community, name recognition, and do things to give yourself a springboard. And again, if you know what your product margins are, your profit margins are by product offering, you can gear your marketing efforts toward those higher margin services for people.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. All right, guys. Well, that's it in terms of the UPS store. If you're thinking, I have zero interest in buying a UPS store, but that was interesting, and you're thinking, you know what? I would love to know what are the good franchises that align with my skill sets and my budget and are actually available in my area. Well, you're in the right place. You can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory, and you'll be able to enter your information. Our team will be able to get back with you and provide you with some specific franchises that align with your specific goals and that we've confirmed are available in your area. Last but not least, our two most recent episodes that went live on Franchise Empire YouTube channel. One is, how much does Popeyes make? So we did a whole video breakdown on Popeyes, going over their background, the average sales of each store. It's basically similar deal of how we just broke down UPS, but in a more higher production value type video. And then episode number 124, why successful people choose franchising. Speaking of Chris, this is actually Chris on our team. This is a podcast episode that Chris and I did together. Shares a little bit more about his background and experience being a founder of a franchise brand. And so, yeah, go meet Chris and learn a little bit more about him. With that said, Mark, anything else to wrap with?
No. If anybody finds any of this interesting, we'd love to hear from you. So hopefully we'll have a chance to chat, and we always lead with educating our candidates and finding what's the best match for them, even if sometimes that match is nothing. But if that's the case, we'll tell you that as well. So we enjoy doing these weekly calls. It's very informative, and we've actually had people get in touch with us as a result of these. So I think we'll keep bringing them to you with great content, and any feedback you guys provide is very, very valuable. We only get better when we get told how to get better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, drop a comment, guys. Let us know, number one, if you just enjoy it. Just the validation is helpful for us. Number two, if there's something else that you would like to see, or if you have a request, that would be awesome. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Monday. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thanks,
All right,
Tarek.
bye.